Gigawatt-scale nuclear data centers. Does that ring any alarm bells for you, Evelyn, or is it just the sound of progress? Because Google and Nextera are officially partnering up on these things in the US.
Alarm bells? Lucas, I'm picturing Google as a Bond villain now, complete with a secret underground lair powered by a miniature sun. Welcome to Google's new headquarters, where we don't just organize the world's information, we also power the world, whether it wants us to or not. Seriously though, gigawatt scale? That's not just a server farm, that's a small city's worth of energy demand. What are they doing in there? Mining Bitcoin for an alternate dimension?
Well, what they're doing is housing the AI models that require an absolutely obscene amount of computational power. Think about it. Every query, every generative image, every complex algorithm running in the background, it all demands electricity. And as these models get bigger, more sophisticated, more human-like, the energy appetite just skyrockets. We're talking about a future where data centers aren't just industrial parks, they're critical national infrastructure, and they need a power source that's both massive and incredibly reliable. Nuclear fits that bill in a way that intermittent renewables by themselves can't always guarantee.
Reliable? That's one word for nuclear. Potentially glow-in-the-dark is another. But I get the scale argument. It's like they've realized they can't just keep building server racks in warehouses and hoping the local grid can keep up. They're essentially becoming their own utility companies. Is this the logical conclusion of big tech? Just owning everything from the silicon to the electrons?
It's certainly a significant shift. For decades, the tech industry consumed power, but largely from existing grids. Now they're becoming direct energy producers, or at least direct partners in large-scale energy production. It speaks to the existential need for constant, clean, and massive power for AI. And clean is a big part of the nuclear equation too, right? For all the concerns, nuclear power has a near-zero carbon footprint during operation. So it's hitting multiple strategic points for Google: massive scale, reliability, and meeting those sustainability targets they keep pushing.
So it's not just about keeping the lights on for ChatGPT. It's about keeping the planet from melting while ChatGPT is writing sonnets about icebergs. I can get behind that, theoretically. But what about the cost? Nuclear plants aren't exactly cheap to build, nor are they fast. Are we talking about a decade-long project here before they can even plug in the first quantum processor? And what does this say about the future of energy infrastructure globally? Is every major tech company going to have its own bespoke nuclear reactor fleet?
The cost is indeed astronomical, and the timeline for these kinds of projects is long, often measured in years, if not a decade, from conception to operation. But Google and Nextera, one of the largest electric utility companies in the US, are clearly betting on the long game. This isn't a short-term fix. It's a foundational shift in how they plan to power their computational demands for the next 50 to 100 years. And yes, it absolutely signals a trend. If AI continues on its current trajectory, other major players will face the same energy crunch. You might see similar partnerships, or even tech companies investing directly in modular nuclear reactors, which are smaller, more flexible, and potentially faster to deploy. It changes the entire calculus of where data centers are located and how they're powered.
So the next time someone asks for directions to the nearest Google data center, it might also be the nearest power plant. Convenient. Speaking of things that might be running into physical limitations, how about Oracle? Their stock took a hit, and one of the concerns cited was physical limitations in AI scaling, alongside debt issues. Is this the flip side of Google's nuclear ambitions? The guys who didn't build their own power source suddenly realizing they can't just wish more electricity into existence?
That's a very astute connection, Evelyn. Oracle's situation highlights the immense capital expenditure required to compete in the AI cloud space. They've been aggressively expanding their cloud infrastructure, but that comes with a massive price tag. Building out data centers, buying cutting-edge GPUs, and yes, securing the power and cooling for all of it. The physical limitations in AI scaling isn't just about running out of space in a building, it's about the sheer thermodynamic reality of these powerful chips generating so much heat, requiring so much power, that you do hit real-world bottlenecks. It's a stark reminder that the AI revolution isn't just software, it's deeply rooted in physical infrastructure and energy. The debt concerns likely stem from the sheer investment they've had to make to try and keep pace with the likes of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, who have had a head start.
So it's not enough to have brilliant algorithms, you also need to literally build the infrastructure to run them without melting down the planet, or your balance sheet. It sounds like a very expensive game of catch-up, and Oracle, despite being a giant, might be feeling the pinch of playing in a league where the entry fee is a small nation's GDP. Does this mean we're heading towards a consolidation of AI power, where only the mega-rich, the Googles with their nuclear plants, can truly compete at the bleeding edge?
It certainly points in that direction. The barrier to entry for truly foundational AI model development and deployment is becoming incredibly high. It's not just talent and algorithms, it's also about owning the entire stack, from the silicon to the electrons. Companies like Oracle, while incredibly successful in their niche, might struggle to match the sheer scale and vertical integration of the top-tier cloud providers. It could lead to a two-tiered system: a few giants who can afford to build their own nuclear-powered AI fortresses, and then everyone else who has to rent capacity, which comes with its own set of costs and dependencies. This also puts pressure on smaller AI startups, who will increasingly rely on these giants for their computational needs.
Speaking of giants and their strategies, Meta seems to be playing a different game. Leaks suggest their upcoming avocado model might signal a departure from their open source strategy. Meta, the company that basically gave away llama to the world, suddenly wants to put a fence around their next big thing? That's like the neighborhood baker suddenly deciding to patent his sourdough starter.
It's a fascinating potential shift, and if true, it would be a significant one. Meta has been a huge proponent of open source AI, and Llama 2, in particular, really democratized access to powerful large language models. But there are compelling reasons for a shift like this. One, competition is fierce. If they've developed something truly groundbreaking with Avocado, they might want to leverage that competitive advantage directly, perhaps for commercial products or to differentiate their own offerings. Two, and this is a big one, safety and control. Open sourcing powerful models comes with inherent risks. If something goes wrong, if the model is misused, the reputational damage can be severe. Keeping a model closed gives them far more control over its deployment and potential guardrails.
So it's the classic corporate move. We love sharing until we make something really good, then it's all ours. It reminds me of how they initially opened up Facebook's platform, then slowly locked it down as they gained dominance. Is this a sign that the honeymoon phase of open source AI is over? That the big players are realizing the strategic value of keeping their crown jewels under lock and key? I mean, who wouldn't want to protect their avocado if it's the next big thing? Though avocado is a name, are they going for healthy and trendy or prone to spoiling quickly?
Let's hope for healthy and trendy. But yes, I think you're right. The initial impulse to open source was partly about accelerating research, gaining mindshare, and building a community around their models. But as these models become more powerful, more central to future products, and potentially more dangerous if unchecked, the calculus changes. We might see a trend where truly foundational, cutting-edge models are kept proprietary, while slightly older or less powerful versions are eventually open-sourced. It creates a tiered system, where the true bleeding edge is a closed, competitive race. This also puts pressure on the open source community to innovate even faster, to try and replicate or even surpass what the closed models are doing.
So the AI arms race continues, with some players building their own nuclear plants, others struggling with the sheer cost, and Meta possibly pulling up the drawbridge on their latest castle. It's all very high stakes. But then we get this little gem. Google's Gemini 3 Pro model has reportedly demonstrated the ability to play the video game Pokemon Crystal flawlessly, outperforming previous iterations that got stuck in loops. Flawlessly? Lucas, my money's on the AI to win the next Pokemon tournament.
This is actually a much bigger deal than it sounds, and it connects back to the core capabilities these AI models are developing. Playing Pokemon Crystal flawlessly isn't just about button mashing, it's about understanding complex game mechanics, developing long-term strategies, managing resources, making decisions based on evolving game states, and adapting to unpredictable elements. The getting stuck in loops part is critical. That's a common failure mode for AIs trying to navigate complex environments. Overcoming that means the model has a much more sophisticated understanding of cause and effect, planning, and self-correction.
You're telling me that this AI, which probably costs more to run than a small country, is spending its time catching digital monsters? I guess even world-dominating AIs need a hobby. But seriously, what's the real-world implication of an AI mastering Pokemon? Is it just a cool parlor trick, or does it genuinely represent a leap in capabilities?
It's absolutely a leap. Think about what's involved: navigating a 2D world, interacting with NPCs, battling, understanding type advantages, managing an inventory, and pursuing long-term goals like collecting all the gym badges. An AI that can do this flawlessly demonstrates advanced reasoning, planning, and problem-solving in a dynamic rule-based environment. This translates directly to capabilities in robotics, where an AI needs to navigate the physical world, interact with objects, and achieve goals. It applies to complex simulations, drug discovery, even financial modeling, where understanding intricate systems and predicting outcomes is key. It's a test bed for general intelligence, showing that these models are getting better at understanding not just language, but complex systems and decision-making within those systems.
So first they'll be masters of Pokemon, then they'll be mastering the stock market, and finally they'll be mastering us. It's always the games, Lucas. It always starts with the games. I'm just picturing a future where my toaster is powered by a nuclear reactor, and my AI assistant is too busy playing Pokemon to toast my bread correctly. The future is weird, The future is definitely weird, Evelyn, but it's also a testament to the incredible and sometimes surprisingly specific progress these AI models are making. From powering data centers with nuclear energy to mastering virtual worlds, the pace of change is just breathtaking.